When we think of samurai, we often picture fierce, disciplined Japanese warriors. But did you know that one of the most legendary samurai in Japan's history wasn't Japanese at all? Instead, he came from the other side of the world, from Africa. His name was Yosuke, and he became one of the most respected warriors in Japan during the 16th century. Today, we are diving into the fascinating story of Yosuke, the black samurai who rose to prominence in the age of Japan's feudal lords, and uncovering the lesser-known chapter of Japan's history that few people know about. Our story starts in the late 1500s, during Japan's Sengoku period, a time of constant warfare, political intrigue, and power struggles. This was an era when Japan was still largely isolated from the rest of the world, but trade and exploration were starting to bring new cultures into contact with one another. In fact, during this time, Portuguese traders had made their way to Japan, and Jesuit missionaries had begun establishing a presence. It was through these Jesuit missionaries that Yosuke first arrived in Japan. But what makes his story truly remarkable is how he stood out, not just as a foreigner, but as a black man in a country where black people were virtually unknown. Yosuke was a servant or bodyguard to the Italian Jesuit missionary, Alessandro Valignano. Descriptions of him from this time describe him as an imposing figure, standing at a staggering 6 feet 2 inches in a society where the average height was much shorter. His dark skin, tall stature, and striking presence quickly attracted attention. But it was Oda Nobunaga, one of Japan's most powerful and ambitious warlords, who would change Yosuke's life forever. Upon meeting Yosuke, Nobunaga was not only impressed by his size and strength but also by his remarkable demeanor. In fact, Yosuke's presence was so intriguing that Nobunaga had him bathe in front of him, confirming that his skin was indeed naturally dark. It's said that Nobunaga marveled at Yosuke's appearance and immediately saw him as more than just a servant. In an extraordinary act of recognition, Nobunaga elevated Yosuke to the status of samurai, an honor almost unheard of for any foreigner, let alone a black man. This was a monumental moment, not just for Yosuke, but for the idea of what it meant to be a samurai. A symbol of loyalty, strength, and courage, Yosuke was now a warrior in the service of one of Japan's most powerful figures. As a samurai, Yosuke fought in some of the most significant battles of the time. He became a trusted bodyguard and warrior for Nobunaga, participating in battles that would shape Japan's future. Yosuke's role was not just ceremonial, he fought alongside Nobunaga's army, displaying remarkable skill and bravery. His loyalty to Nobunaga would be tested during the chaos of the Battle of Honnoji in 1582. In the final days of Nobunaga's life, betrayal struck. A coup led by one of Nobunaga's own generals forced the warlord into a corner. In the battle that followed, Nobunaga was ultimately surrounded and took his own life. Yosuke, though caught in the chaos, fought fiercely to protect his master. But after Nobunaga's death, Yosuke's fate took another turn. Following Nobunaga's death, Yosuke was captured by the forces of the general Okechimitsu Hide, the man responsible for the betrayal. Despite his status as a samurai, Yosuke was treated not as a warrior but as a prisoner. He was later handed over to the authorities and eventually disappeared from historical records. Yosuke's journey sheds light on a fascinating aspect of global history, the interconnectedness of cultures during this period. While Japan was largely isolated, the movement of people, ideas, and goods through trade and exploration brought diverse influences to its shores. From Africa to Europe to Asia, people were coming into contact with one another in ways that would shape the world in profound ways. Yosuke was part of this story, a symbol of the global exchanges that were occurring during a time when most people might not have imagined such connections. Today, Yosuke's story continues to inspire. From anime to documentaries, his legacy lives on, reminding us of the rich, diverse tapestry of history that often gets overlooked. Yosuke's story challenges the traditional narratives about history and reminds us that the past is filled with diverse, untold stories that deserve recognition. His life as a black samurai in 16th century Japan is just one example of how history's complexity breaks down the boundaries we often place on culture, race, and identity. Thank you for joining me today as we uncover the incredible life of Yosuke, the black samurai. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more fascinating stories from history. See you in the next video.